Hi, this is Yamuna from IELTS Grammar, and in my today's video I'm going to share with you 12 tips that will definitely help you achieve a band 9 in your IELTS speaking. If you want to crack your IELTS, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to never miss any updates. Hello everyone, welcome back to IELTS Grammar, and in my today's video I'm going to share with you some very amazing tips for your speaking section. And if you follow these tips, I assure you, you will benefit and you will get the desired score, because I used them and I got a band 9. So before we proceed, I would like to introduce something which I will be doing in my every video from today. So I will be sharing a weekly assignment that you have to do relevant to the topic that I'm covering. So it will be towards the end of my video, and I'll also be sharing one of my personal experiences during my speaking test, which will definitely help you and you can learn and perform much better. Now let's get started. So the speaking test usually goes on for around 11 to 14 minutes and it has 3 parts. So part 1 usually is an introduction part where you meet the examiner, you greet the examiner, and you will just be asked some general questions like how are you, what are your interests, what do you work as, what are your hobbies, and you just have to be yourself and answer them. That goes on for around 3 to 4 minutes. After that, you'll be having part 2, wherein you'll be given a topic on a cue card and there will be some follow-up questions. And you have to prepare a speech, say for around 1 or 2 minutes, and speak on that. Part 3 would be another 3 to 4 minutes where there would be some more questions relevant to the cue card given in part 2. So the examiner will ask some more questions to again test how you're speaking, what do you answer, where you're getting stuck, and that will end your speaking test. So before I share with you the tips that will help you to get your desired score, I'm going to share with you the marking criteria on what basis you're going to be marked. Because if you don't really know what mistakes you need to avoid, there is a chance that you will do them during your test. So for the IELTS speaking, it's divided into 4 categories. You'll be first marked on your category 1, which is fluency and coherence, which will be 25% of your marking. So under that, you will be checked on how well or how fluently do you speak English. Are you giving a lot of pauses and you're getting stuck thinking of what words should I say, or are you just speaking fluently? And how well are you structuring your sentences? The next category on which you'll be marked is your lexical resource, which is another 25% of your marking. So on that, they will check on how many words do you have in your kitty. What vocabulary or what resource of words do you have to use? The next or the third category is the grammatical range and accuracy. So that will be again 25% of your marking. So in that they will check, are you making mistakes in using some sentence types? Are you using a variety of sentence types? Are you getting stuck on the tense forms? Are you using a past tense for a present sentence? So you will be marked on all those criteria. And the fourth one is your pronunciation. How well are you pronouncing words? And is the examiner able to understand or is able to follow what you're saying? And that will be your final 25%. So you will get a band 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 in each of these sections, and then an average score will be given to you. So make sure you put your attention on all these 4 different types of criteria. I have linked in the description below the public version of the speaking band descriptors. So if you want to have a further read, please look at the description below. So without any delay, I will now take you to my top tips for scoring a band 9 in speaking. The first one, a very simple one, a very easy one. Always speak in English. So practice speaking in English from now leading up to your speaking test, whether it's your friends or your family or your work or anyone, or if there's no one to speak to, just speak to yourself in the mirror. Just practice like you're giving an interview. It'll be so nice to think of yourself as a celebrity and people are there to take your interviews. It's a good feeling. So just be in that moment and practice, practice, practice to speak your best version. My tip number 2 is focus on fluency. So that's the key. You should not give the examiner an idea that you're struggling for words. Well, it'll just feel that the examiner would just feel that you don't know English and you're just struggling to make up some sentences, or you're just trying to remember some words which you had memorized during your practice. So don't do that. Just be fluent. Whatever ideas, whatever thoughts, whatever values, whatever opinions you have, just speak on it very fluently. And don't worry, you're not going to be judged on whether you're saying the right thing or you're saying the wrong thing. This is not a test which is going to judge anything of that. They're just going to judge how fluently, how confidently, and how well are you speaking English. My tip number 3 is greet the examiner well and be relaxed. So my friend, there is nothing to fear. There's nothing to worry or be nervous or be scared about. Just give your best foot forward. So when the examiner calls your name, just respond with a lot of positivity, with a lot of conviction on yourself, believe in yourself, and just put your best foot forward. And I assure you, if you use this approach, you will come up with flying colors in your speaking test. So give a brim of positivity when you meet your examiner, and just give an impression that you're very confident about English and you're not scared of anything. So that will definitely help you to perform much better. My tip number 4 is expand or elaborate your answers. This is very important. I cannot stress this point more. For example, if the examiner asks you, what's your favorite hobby? And if you just say, music, how does it sound? But what if I say, wow, that's a lovely question. I'm very fond of music and I even teach different musical instruments. That sounds much better because you're giving a long answer. The examiner can test how well you're speaking, and definitely it gives a better impression that you're very confident on your speaking skills. So make sure you speak long answers. Give some examples. Make a perfect story. If they ask you what's the best gift you have received, or what's your idea of a perfect date, just make up a perfect story that you've always imagined in your fantasy. You're not going to be judged if you give a wrong story. Again, very important. They're not going to judge you on the right and wrong details. They're just going to judge you how well are you able to express an idea. So I'm again stressing, very, very important, always elaborate your answers. Make up a story, make up your ideas, put forward your thoughts and opinions, and be very confident. My tip number 5 is speak clearly. So don't rush on your words or your sentences and speak very fast. Because what will happen is if you just speak too quickly, the examiner will not be able to understand what you're saying. You'll not be able to put across what your thoughts are. And you might make grammatical errors and some mistakes, some errors in sentence types and pronunciations, and it'll be a mess. So don't speak too fast. Just be very comfortable. Imagine you're speaking to a family or a colleague. How would you speak? Just speak in that manner, and I'm sure you'll do great. So speak very clearly. If you're more comfortable speaking slowly, that's fine. Speak slow. For example, I don't have a very slow speed. I speak at a moderate level. Sometimes I just go very fast, like how I showed you now. So I have to remind myself that, just be moderate. Don't go too fast. Don't go too slow. So just be moderate, be yourself. That's very important. In speaking test, you'll excel if you be yourself. My tip number 6 is use the correct verb tense. So make sure you use the verb tense which is being asked in the question. For example, if the examiner asks you, what's your favorite food? Or what kind of food do you like? You should say, I'm extremely fond of Mexican food. And then as you expand your answers, you can say that, but I would love to try different cuisines. So you know how I changed my tense? So that's fine, but your answer should be in the tense that your question is. Or for example, if they ask, have you read a book? So you can say, yes, I have read ABC. So don't say, I am reading ABC or I will read ABC. You have to answer in the tense that your question is. Very, very important. My tip number 7 is use good pronunciation. So now there are some words and some numbers which sound very similar. For example, 15 or 50, they sound very similar. 14 or 40, again, they sound similar. So practice the way you say it. And there are some words, for example, sixth or rural or squirrel or vegetable or comfortable. So it's okay if you say vegetable or comfortable, but it'll be better if you say vegetable or comfortable. So just try to practice on these little things, and then when you speak English, it will sound really beautiful to the examiner and he'll be highly impressed. So just try to do some tips and tricks on your pronunciation, and that'll definitely improve your score. So my tip number 8 is improve your vocabulary. So when I say that, it doesn't mean that you burden yourself with the entire dictionary. Just make sure you're very observant when you're hearing people talk or when you're reading something, and if you find some word that is very interesting or that you find relevant or that you find that you want to learn that word, so just make a list of those words in your daily use of English. You should not sound to the examiner that you have just memorized some words and you have come for the exam, because it'll sound very vague and you might not be scored very well in that area. So be very comfortable when you're speaking English, know the meaning of the words that you're using, because of course you'll be scored better if you use wide variety of words and different range of vocabulary. So of course it'll work in your advantage, but don't overdo it that you sound really fake and kind of confused and it doesn't make sense. For example, you can, if it's a food related topic, you could remember the word delicious and then use it for your answers. If it's a question about, say, some scenic beauty, you could say mesmerize and you can use it accordingly. If it's a question about personality types, you could use introvert, extrovert. If it's a question about plants and animals, you could use flora and fauna. So that way, just few words here and there and you will get a bang-on score. So don't overdo it, but don't just be very simple in your answers. Try to strike the balance. My tip number 9 is use linking words or fillers. So definitely use these linking words, however, moreover, perhaps, apparently, because they will really tidy up your sentence. And if you're unsure about something, you can use fillers. Like if you don't know a question that's being asked, you can say, well, that's an interesting question, or I haven't really thought about that. So be honest. If you don't know an answer, be honest and just make up something that's the closest or the most approximate answer. Don't be flat. If you don't know something, don't just say, I don't know. Just say something, just speak up something, because they're just testing how fluently you can say things and how fluently you can talk. It's not about how much accurate information you're providing to them. For example, if they ask you, can you tell me more about the festivals in your country? And if you don't know much about that, you can just say, well, I have barely explored that area, but I remember da 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 da. Just make up something, something that you've attended in your childhood or you've seen pictures or movies about. Anything, my friend, is fine, but just keep speaking and don't be flat. My tip number 10 is fake it till you make it. So this applies mainly for section 2 of your test or part 2, wherein you'll be asked to speak on a particular topic. And they will give you a situation, some questions, and you got to prepare a speech for 1 or 2 minutes. So that can be really intriguing because you have to speak to a stranger about some details in your life. Sometimes you don't want to reveal it, or sometimes you've never come across any situation like that. So what will you do in that scenario? The answer is just make up a story. There's absolutely no negative marking if you lie in your IELTS speaking, because ultimately they are just checking how well are you presenting a thought or an idea. So if they ask you a question, for example, describe your best holiday, and if you still haven't been on your best holiday, just make up a story of what your dream holiday would look like. So, include details of what will happen, where will you go, how it will go, why it'll happen, and, just include some interesting details of things that you think might happen, give some examples, and give details of who you might want to go with on a holiday, blah, 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 blah. So it can go on and on and on. So the section 2 of your IELTS speaking is primarily where you have to speak. So you don't have to flat out in that section. So just make sure, you just make up a beautiful story in your imagination and speak it up, give some examples, and I'm sure that will do the right job for you. My tip number 11 is take the examiner as your friend. Again, this is very important because if you take the examiner as a judge who is sitting there and assessing you and you are being marked on that, then you are bound to get nervous, scared, and even if you're a very good speaker, you will make mistakes and you will mess up your score. So don't do that mistake. Just be very casual, be very comfortable when you meet the examiner. Just take him as your friend and just focus on the questions that are being asked and answer them appropriately. Of course, when I say as a friend, it is also important that you be respectful to the examiner. So your focus should just be on the questions that are being asked and think of some good answers that could be, and that's it, give your best shot. My final tip is record your speaking. So while it's always good to practice speaking to the mirror or to your friends and family, it's always a good idea to record what you're speaking. Because when you record and when you rehear, you understand, oh, I actually goofed up in that area, or I could have spoken that better. So you actually learn from your mistakes. So this is a very good way to improve your speaking. Just record whatever you're speaking and try to hear them, and this will be your best practice. So, like I mentioned at the beginning of my video, that from today in all my videos I'm going to give a viewer's assignment wherein I'll be giving an assignment relevant to the topic, and you can write the answers in the comments and then I can reply if there is any improvement, or if I give a love button, then it's amazing. So my today's assignment would be relevant to the topic that we discussed. So it's relevant to speaking test. It will be part 2 of your speaking. So you'll be given a topic and some questions based on that. So you have to prepare a speech of 1 to 2 minutes, what you'll be speaking, and please put that in the comments section below. And I promise to review and give you my feedback. So as I promised in the beginning that I will be sharing one of my personal experience from the IELTS speaking test and my preparation so that it helps you and inspires you and motivates you as well. So as you can see, I'm not a native speaker of English. I do speak other languages as well. But I love speaking to myself. So even though I have no one to speak to, I just keep conversing with myself. I think I'm a Bollywood celebrity, or I'm a Hollywood star, or I'm a famous chef, or I'm a great politician. And I just start to speak and pretend that I give interviews. And I also listen to a lot of chat shows. I just see how people respond to speaking. And I practice that in the mirror, or I practice that by making some short videos. And that over the years has really helped me to improve my speaking skills. So I'm not blessed with a very great tutor who has trained me from the beginning on your English speaking skills. It's all just by practice, just by observing how people speak and what kind of language they use. That has helped me, that I'm in this position today that I'm trying to guide you. So if I can do it, definitely you can. A tip from my IELTS speaking test. When my name was called out for the IELTS test, I saw the examiner, went with the examiner in the room and greeted the examiner really well. So that first impression, as they say, is the last impression. So leave a good impression when you meet the examiner first. Be very positive, be very confident, be very relaxed, as if, it's not a big deal to speak English. I have been speaking English for ages and I know that I can do well. So that conviction will really help you to be relaxed and stay confident on your abilities. So don't let any thing or any situation that has happened in your life put you down. Just be very confident on your abilities. If anyone has mocked you that, hey, this person doesn't speak English well, or if they have laughed on you, just take that constructively. Just use that as a benchmark to improve and to give the best version of yourself. And if you keep up that positive spirit, it will definitely reflect in your speaking as well. So on that note, I would like to conclude this video and wish you all the best on your IELTS journey. And just before I go, one request: please ensure to hit the like button and the subscribe button, because that really encourages me to make more videos. If I know people are liking my content, then I will keep preparing more and more just for you guys. So till we meet in our next video, I wish you all the best on your IELTS journey. Thank you.